Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode. We really appreciate you joining us. This podcast really shows us how we can all learn, live, and thrive off of each other. By sharing our knowledge through our conversations, we will impart some knowledge whilst learning ourselves how to progress even further. Here is your host.
Creators, this is Rolain, and welcome to the Writer's Creative Space, a space where you, as an author or aspiring author, can get inspiration, advice, tips, and encouragement on your self-publishing journey. This is episode 19, and today I'm going to give you a few reasons as to why you should consider writing a book. So more on that later in the show. And right now, I want to get into some personal writing news. And like I said in last week's episode, I have some exciting news in regards to my children's book. My book is titled Tim's Big Fear, and the goal behind it is to help kids overcome fear. And as the deadline to publish it is fast approaching, I have decided to create a coloring competition. I will leave the link for the coloring page in the episode show notes, but I am really looking forward to this because it's one of my strategies to get visible or get my book visible. And it's exciting and a bit scary because this is, like I said, all very new. I am trying things that I haven't done before with no idea of how they'll work, if they'll work or they'll flop, right? But obviously, I'm hoping that it works, and that is why I am trying it out. So if you have children who love to color in pictures, then I encourage you to join the competition. But like I said, this is exciting because this is something new. This is something I haven't done before. And as for the children's book itself, I plan to publish it by December. So that's my plan. But I am also working at the pace of the illustrator, and I want them to do their best, so I can't rush them. So I find myself in this balancing act where, yes, I can try to push them and keep a deadline and put pressure on them, but at the same time, I want them to do the best that they can, especially this being my first kids book. So I realized that that even though I want the book done in my time, I still want an amazing product, right? So I'd rather it be late, but I've done the best that I've done, and they have given their best compared to trying to meet a deadline and they then get to do shoddy work. So that's the balance that I'm finding and getting to come to grips with. Let me just say that. And if you are thinking about writing a children's book, keep in mind that it's a collaboration. It's a partnership. You and your illustrator are partners bringing the book to life. So yes, your input is important, and yes, you can impose deadlines and just try to be forceful and do all these things, but also know that your collaborator or your illustrator is a partner, and their input is so important. They bring in your book to life. So yes, you can have words, but kids are going to be drawn to the illustrations, right? To the pictures and the colors, and that is you and the illustrator working together to create that. So take the input seriously, and the input is extremely valuable. And I remember, even for me, my illustrator has helped me think differently about the way I write my book and the way I just see writing of the book, because the book is visual, right? There are a lot of things I don't need to say because the picture has said it all. And that's just one of the lessons I have learned from my illustrator. And they keep on reminding me that, hey, you don't have to be so detailed in a specific scene or the way in the way you write, because the picture says it all. And hey, that's just an example of how they are helping me. And yes, it seems obvious, but it wasn't obvious back then. So like I said, this is me getting to learn new things. This is me getting to just grow in a new genre that I've never done before. And that's why it's exciting. And yes, it's a bit scary because you're like, wow, I haven't done this before. Is it going to work? Is it not going to work? But this is what it's all about. As authors, we need to be willing to try new things and test them out, and from there we'll get feedback, right? Because if it works, we're getting feedback. If it doesn't work, we're still getting feedback. So and all that feedback is in the vein for us to grow as authors. So I love that. So I think with that, I will end my personal writing news. That was exciting for me that I've got a coloring competition. So once again, if you have kids and you want to join the competition, you can do so. I'll leave the link for the coloring pick down below. So let's get into the main episode. Now, in episode 17, I talked about how hard it is to write a book and how we should not give up. And I talked at length that just how difficult writing a book is. But I also said that just because something is hard doesn't mean it shouldn't be done. Because there are huge benefits to writing a book, and that's what I want to get into today. So today I will be talking about 3 reasons why you should write a book, and I'm not going to get too much into them as in depth with them because I am still learning them as well. These are things that I've just discovered, and not just discovered, like last year, getting taught them by people that I know and by mentors, and just also coming into understanding of them, right? So just 3 things that I think that you need to know, and that will hopefully encourage you to start writing your book or push you over the edge to write your book. And please also note that there are many other things that people do, right? There's doctors, there's astronauts, there's all these other trades. But if you are here if you're here listening to this episode, then I believe that it's not by accident, that you need to hear this. And if you are considering writing a book, the goal is for you to start writing a book. So anyway, let's get into it. And the first reason why you should write a book is we all have a story to tell. You have a story to tell. And why do you have a story to tell? Because there's someone out there that needs to hear what you have to say. The experiences you have gone through, the lessons you have learned along the way are not just for you. You can help someone who is going through the exact same thing. And that is why it's important. And that's why your story is so important. That's why your message is so important. Because 50, 60 years down the line, there are people that are going to hear your message, right? So your book, yes, you can write it now, and you're going to still impact people now, but you're going to impact people as you go down the line, as the years keep on going down. So just write your story, tell your story, because there are people now that need to hear your story. There are people that need to hear your story a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And that's the other thing I want to say, is that your book, writing a book, will outlive you, right? So you can, long after you die, your words will still be speaking. Your words will still be impacting people. So that's another reason to. So that's, let's just say this reason 1 has 2 parts. Okay, so 1 is you have a story to tell, and the second reason is. Well, the second part is your book will outlive you, and that's another thing to think about when you want to write a book. That you can say something now, right? This is if you're not writing a book, you can say something now, and someone could remember it a year from now or 2 years from now. But it's guaranteed that if you are writing down your message, then that can go on for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years. Your words are still speaking. They are still alive. And an example of this is the Bible. And I am a Christian, and I am so grateful for the Bible. It was written a long time ago, but it is still relevant now as it was back then. It has changed me and continues to do so. And I have an idea of the amazing things that Jesus did because someone wrote it down. And that's the power of writing a book. Now, let's get into reason number 2. And reason number 2 is it's a powerful way to grow your brand or business is by writing a book. And this is, again, there's a lady by the name of Carrie Green who spoke about this. And I think it's true because, and not I think it's true, it is true, because first of all, when you write a book, if you didn't know, you are starting a business, right? So when you write a book, you are starting a business. And there are millions of people that make a living from writing books because they understand they have started a business and treat their books as such. And you know what? I think I will do a separate episode on this topic because it's so important that as we write books, even if it's like our goal is to impact people and to make a difference, remember we are still selling the book, right? There is still a cost to the book, and there are, like I said, there are people who make a living from that. And if you are one of those people that say, no, I just write for the sake of writing, I'm not into it for money, and that's that, then there's nothing wrong with that. And there are people that do that. But then for this reason that I'm talking about, if you are writing a book and you are wanting to make wanting to make an impact and living, just know that there's another side to writing a book, and that is that it's a business, that people are making a living from that. And it's a great way to grow your business as well. And a great example of this is John C. Maxwell. And we know about him and his message on leadership. And I remember the first time I came across him, I didn't meet him in person, but I read his books. And you know, like whenever I needed to learn something about leadership, of course, his books were a great resource. And there's so many other people like that, right? Where we refer to that we've never met, but their books have gone before them. And for John C. Maxwell, his books have grown his business to a global reach, right? So there's a few people in the world that don't know not a few, but there are people in the world that don't know who he is, but there's also a large majority of people everywhere in the world that know what he does and what his message is because of his books, and they have grown his business. So that's an example of how powerful a book can be in relation to your a business and growing it, right? Now, the third reason is books are the number one accelerator of credibility in the world. And I heard this from a guy named Rory Vaden. And again, I agree with this, that it is true. And let's go back to John C. Maxwell. And he is credible. His books have given him that, that genuine stamp, right? So when he speaks about leadership, everyone listens because his books have given him that credibility. And that's what books will do for you and your business. So if you are, if you are knowledgeable about a trade and you're a master in your trade, right? The best way to get even more credibility is by writing a book. So just remember that. And those are 3 reasons that I want to talk about. They are something that, like I said, have been on my mind, that I've been meditating on and that I agree with, and that's why I am sharing them. So if you are thinking about writing a book, I want to encourage you to do it. Don't put it off any longer. It's time to get your message out there. There are people who are dealing with a problem that you have the answer to. So do the hard work now so someone's life can be changed. And like I said, there are so many reasons why you should write a book, and not just these 3. So if you have reasons to share, please share them with me because I would love to hear them. And just to encourage me as well to open my eyes to what else, and to give me more reasons to why I should write a book, right? So please share them. You can do so in the comment section, or you can head over to my Facebook page and share your thoughts there. You can also email me, and I'll leave my email down below, and I'll leave the other links as well in the show notes. And I would really love to hear from you. So thank you for listening to the episode, and I will see you next week. And remember, you have something worth sharing.
Loved what you've heard on this week's episode? Well, the answer is simple. It would mean the world to us if you could head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and feedback. Spreading the word really is the best way to grow our podcast and achieve even greater things. Thank you.